Good morning. Supongo que era la conferencia Supongo que intentaré hacer la conferencia mitad inglés, mitad castellano, ¿vale? Half in English, half in Spanish. Okay. Now, today I'm going to talk about level 1 mentoring and certification. I've centered this seminar not in mentoring new level 1 judges, because I think that more or less we all know how to mentor a new level 1, but the way we have been working more or less for the last 6 months, right? We started this project in July, more or less, and I had prepared a PowerPoint, but you know that it didn't work very well yesterday, so I'll try to explain it. The objective for this seminar, for this project, we had 3 objectives, right? First of all, we wanted to give opportunities to all level 2s, because we noticed that there were level 2s with 6 candidates and level 2s with no candidates in the same region, in the same city. So it was a little bit strange, right? We also wanted to use our resources better. In this case, it's not very useful if a level 2 has 6 candidates and another level 2 has 0 candidates, because one will be very busy and the other will have no work at all. And then the third objective was to improve the level 1 mentoring, right? I think that the first 2 objectives we have accomplished that. I think that we all have more or less the same amounts of level of candidates now. And now we, as I will tell you later, now from this point to the future we will try to work in the third point, which is improve mentorship, right? Just to remember, right, which are the 4 prerequisites of a level 1 candidate in order to be a level 1, according to the judge advancement process. Which are they? Having judged in 2 events. What else?
Passing the exam.
Pass a level 1 exam, yeah. 25 questions.
Pass the interview.
Pass the interview with a level 2 judge or higher. And the 4th one?
Have a review with the recommendation for passing.
It's the interview. It's the interview and the review with a level 2 plus judge.
Say being able to run a regular tournament.
Well, knowing the DCI sanctions function, how a DCI sanctioned tournament works, more or less, according to the rules and to the documents related, right? These are the 4 prerequisites, requirements for a candidate in order to be a level 1, right? And the judge advances process tells us some things that are not a requirement anymore, that are having judged a competitive tournament. It is not a requirement having judged a competitive tournament. It is not a requirement to know the IPG. It is not a requirement to write a review. And it is not a requirement to pass a rules advisor or another exam, except for the level 1 exam. Yes, Ms. Kans?
Well, about that, I'd like to ask something. There are some tokens or level 0 judges who want to become level 1. But want to become level 1 not for judging FNMs, but for judging, for example, PTQs or tournaments a little bit more big than the common level 1 tournaments. Is it somehow a requirement in the practice for them to have judged some competitive events or to have some knowledge of the IPGs? I mean, can we ask for something more to a candidate for level 1 if we know that he wants a level 1 for judging PTQs, for example?
According to the judge advisory process, no.
Okay.
We should first certify him. If he wants to study the IPG, okay, we will not tell them, okay, you must not study the IPG if you want. We are all adults, and he can do whatever he wants, right? But in this case, we should encourage them to study the IPG after taking the level 1 exam. Of course, if he wants to judge a PTQ or a GPT or something, we will make the effort to know if he has studied the IPG before judging that exam, or before judging at that tournament. Okay?
One question.
Yeah, sure.
You said it's true that having the rules advisor exam passed is not a requisite for being a level 1 anymore. But how can we, let's say, protect from these people who they just want to become a judge, but they have not put the necessary effort to at least have a small knowledge of the comprehensive rules? For example, there are some candidates that for the easy practice, they score at 20% or 30%. Do you think that in these cases it's maybe a good practice to ask them to pass the rules advisor first and then start working with them?
Rules advisor is another exam in order to help them to know the comprehensive rules in this case. So if you think that you have a candidate that he hasn't studied the rules or he doesn't know the rules at all in order to pass the level 1 exam, it's okay to tell him, okay, what about taking this exam before? But if he doesn't pass the rules advisor, that doesn't mean that he could not take the level 1 exam. That's the other thing. We in what the DCI tells us is that if a candidate hasn't passed the rules advisor exam, he still has the possibility to take the level 1 exam if he, of course, knows the rules. Okay. So please take these 4 things about requirements, things that are required and things that are not required for a candidate to be a level 1 as please make the effort to follow these things, right? It is one mistake is trying to make the candidate judge at a competitive event before giving him the exam. And before it was something that we had to do, but now it is not necessary if a candidate judges at a competitive event to take the level 1 exam. Of course, if he judges at a competitive event, that's okay. But if the candidate had judged 2 FNMs as a player and as a judge, that's also okay in order to take the level 1 exam. Any more questions about this? No? Okay, so imagine that someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to be a judge. I would like to be a judge, right? Which is the way we are working, or we would like to work in this project, in order to give opportunities to everyone, in order to use resources better, and in order to improve mentorship, right? Before, some time ago, when a candidate approached you, normally you were his or her mentor at that point. Normally, you took care of him or her, and eventually you gave him the exam, and he passed the exam or not, right?
Yeah. What about the EBA that you said yesterday? Judges and managers.
This is the level 3 email, right? But we have another email, a specific email for certification, right? If you have a candidate, please, the first thing you should do is, even you or the candidate, better the candidate, email us at certification at, I will write it, certificación. I know. At juecesmagic.com. Even Portuguese candidates, because after this weekend we would like to include the Portuguese responsible for certification at this address. So at the end of this weekend, we would like to join both certifications. So please, if you have any candidate in Portugal or in Spain, please tell him, even you or him, email at certificación@juecesmagic.com.
But
Yeah.
if the candidate is already been accepted as a candidate and he is preparing himself, does he still has to send an email to them?
Sure, yes. Because we will give him a level 2 that he will make sure that he has prepared, and he will help him with the questions he may have before the exam.
But I'm already following 5 candidates.
Okay, these are your candidates.
Okay, I don't.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's fine.
If you have 5 candidates, okay, we would like to know which candidates are you have. Do you actually have? Just to keep a database of
I
them.
think George who asked that.
Yeah, Jorge has it, and we would like to join both databases. But from this point, if you receive someone that says, okay, I would like to be a judge, you should tell him or her, please email to this address. Okay? Yeah.
Well, I just want to say everybody else that what we have on Catalonia with judges, well, with anybody that wants to become level 1 is pretty useful. Having a database available to all level 2 or more with a little bit description of what is the level 0 doing, how is he going on, and if he's really involved in becoming level 1 or just is curious about becoming level 1. It's pretty useful because you know when you are with him, if you really will get involved in his becoming level 1.
We'll come to this later.
Okay, so
Okay. Thank you. Because it's very useful. It's very useful. This.
If someone at a tournament who I don't know ask me about being a judge, I should redirect him to this address directly, or I may ponderate before his motivations or.
Do you filter the application? And maybe what I do,
Mhm.
what I do as a general rule is provide them my email and ask them to write me an email. I think the simple effort to write an email is a good indicator if he's willing to put
And then you're related to.
It's the same if we tell us to write us an email as if we tell him to write an email to this. It's the same filter.
Write an email either to certification
Yeah, but
or to you. It's the same. It's
Yeah.
the same effort.
yeah, but the thing is that he can write an email to that direction just saying, I want to become a judge. But I asked him to explain me a little bit why
Well,
he wants to become a judge.
You should,
for example.
you should tell them, okay, write an email here telling
Telling why.
that you want to be a judge and explaining why or explaining something about why would you like to be a judge, right? Not a very big paragraph, not very big history, but
6 or 7 lines. Okay.
yeah.
One
So
thing-
so
Pages. Whatever.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to remark is that it's a good practice for the candidates, no, sorry, for the judges who want to certificate a candidate to check the, I don't know how to say, the honesty of the candidate. I'll explain.
Mhm.
There are some candidates who are recognized cheaters,
Mhm.
and they should not by any means become a judge. But it's possible that they move to another city and they ask to the local level 2, and the local level 2, who is not aware of the story of this guy, certify him. This
the way we are trying to work over in Europe is this way. I mean, when you go to a foreign Grand Prix, if you are not from that country, normally the certification team first speaks.
No, but I don't talk about this, the express certification in the visa. I'm talking just moving to another city. For example, let's say that I know a guy from my country, from my place in Madrid, who is an active cheater, and he moves to Barcelona.
Okay,
Well,
if
nobody
we
knows
all
him.
follow the same process, if this cheater talks, for example, to Albert or to Christian, to whoever, he will tell him, okay, mail an address to certification, blah blah blah. And if we follow the same process, more or less, this will not happen
But
because
how can me as a level 2 know that this guy has written an email to certification on dot.
Because his mentor is going to publish a post
This
on
is-
the forum.
Yeah,
This is what I want to.
yeah,
The
I
guy
go,
wants
yeah.
to be a judge, so you can see it.
I'd like to address
And this is why.
There is an extra level for so level 2 can see the session. And there's other
Yeah, we'll come to this later. To this Excel, we'll come to this later. We're still at the point emailing to certificación@juecesmagic.com.
I'd like to
Raúl.
address the idea of the recognized cheater. I'd like to address the idea of the recognized cheater because sometimes we're giving players or candidates a very hard time on this. I understand the cheater should not be a judge, but you should also understand that players can be cheaters or recognized cheaters either because they get the fame or they didn't do anything, or they didn't do anything as bad as is being told, or they can change their ways. We have had some examples of people who were actually cheaters because they were in an age, in a group of friends, in a type of playing that encouraged cheating. And then at some point they say, I want to still be a part of the Magic community, I don't want to be a part of this group of Magic community. So the easiest way to move out is the judge program because it's a very
I'm talking about a guy who cheated on me, and he knows around the world saying that he's not a judge because I hate him.
I understand. We have the example, for example, of Robinho, who asked to become a judge, and other people said, oh, this is a cheater, this is a cheater. No, wait. Let's talk with him, let's see why he wants to be a judge now. Okay? So please don't tag people like you're a cheater, so you will never be a judge.
Okay,
But if someone says you're a cheater, let's find out why you changed your mind.
But please raise the issue.
Yeah,
If at some
it's
point
important.
you feel that someone is getting into the level 1 certification process, he has a post to the forum, and you know an issue about that guy, send an email to Danny to let him know there are some issues, or there were some issues with that guy.
So bring them the
Then we can
information.
discuss that issue, speak among the trees and decide. But if you know there's an issue with that guy,
Please email to
let
him. Yeah.
the people in charge know about it.
No worries. We
Bring
will
them
try
the
to investigate.
information, But don't tag the guy
Yeah.
as you will never know.
We'll run investigation as we did with Robinho and yeah. You want something?
No.
Okay. Okay. When we receive, how do we work when we receive an email? Just to inform you. When we receive an email here, if we need information, for example, sometimes a candidate himself writes as an email here. Hey, I'm Pedro, I want to be a judge. Okay, great. Where are you from? How long have you been playing Magic? Some information. I don't know, this email address is public and sometimes.
I'm very proud that it's right.
Yeah. Sometimes we receive emails. Hola, soy Pedro y he leído que esta es la dirección para ser juez.
That should happen.
Estamos progresando.
¿Eh?
That should happen.
That happens.
You may
No,
know.
that should happen.
It should.
If
No.
in a tournament somebody addresses me and says, I want to become judge, okay. Email this
Sure.
username.
Even you
That's
or the
what I
candidate.
should answer him.
No, I would say you have to tell them
Yeah,
right
yeah,
here.
right
and
here.
You have to tell them the best thing
Yeah.
right here with
With blah blah blah. But if they write here alone before talking to a judge, they will say, I'm Pedro and I would like to be a judge.
Okay.
So normally, in this case, me, I ask him some more information. Where is he from? Blah blah blah. Right? And then we have some region managers, right? That they try to look for a level 2 plus mentor. Now we have 5 region managers, right? Carlos Navarrete, Carlos is here. Carlos takes care of the south zone of Spain, right? We will try to define which is south, east, north, and during this weekend. But just know that Carlos is taking care of the south zone. Max, which is not here, is taking care of the north zone. Ajota is taking care of the center zone. I'm taking care of the Mediterranean zone, right? And then Jorge is taking care of the Portuguese zone, as you both know, right? So at this point, the manager contacts the level 2 that he thinks that should fit better with the candidate, either because he has very few candidates, either because the candidate is from the same city as the mentor, right? Normally, if you want to mentor someone, we try to keep your preferences, but that's not. We may change this if, for example, you have lots of candidates and there are another level 2 judges who has less candidates than you, right? Then the manager updates our database, which during this next week all of you will have access, because we forgot to give access to the new level 2s, and Portuguese and the new level 2s will have access to this database, will submit to this database, and then the mentor should open a post in the level 1 certification list forum. Before this weekend, it was in the jueces3.com, right? Now that we are moving to Magic Apps, please begin opening this post at Magic Apps, right? It's very important to open this, because so please do not forget. Okay?
So, Manny?
Yes.
We have to open a new post in the forum with the candidates we are running now.
Yeah. No. We'll try. For the candidates that we are still running, we'll talk later what we are going to do, because there is some project about
Migration.
Yeah, migration for information. So we don't want to duplicate information in this case. So I think that we shall discuss this with the migration project. What are we going to do with the candidates that we still have? Okay? Any question about this? No? What else? During the process, right? Imagine that we have begun. I think that we'd like to know now, when we began mentoring, when we give a level 2 judge a candidate in order to be level 1. Normally, we forgot about the process, right? Now we'd like to know a little bit about the process. We would like to know how the process is going. You don't have to tell us everything, of course, but we would like to know significant changes during the process. For example, if the candidate takes the exams and fails, right? Obviously, if the candidate passes the exam, will come later. If the candidate doesn't answer your emails, if the candidate, whatever information you think it should be relevant us to know. Okay? Because now we have in order to keep the database updated, we need to know how the process is going. Right? Because now we have lots of candidates that we are sure that they are no candidates anymore, because they are no interested anymore in certification, but we still have them in the database. So it's a little bit strange that some of you have 5 or 6 candidates, and in fact you have 2 real or potential candidates. The other 4, they forgot, they left the certification process some months ago. Okay, so please inform us at the same email, certificación, about what's going on. Significant information. Again, we don't want to know everything about your candidate. We don't want to know that they are studying the term structure. We don't want to know that they scored a 70% in a level 1 practical exam. No, we don't want to know this. But we want to know significant information. Yeah? You may write it in Spanish, in English, or in Portuguese. Because if it's Portuguese, it will be addressed to Jorge, so he will understand it. Okay? Yeah? And if the candidate passes the exam, please then write an email to all level 3s with their personal information. Name, address, DCI, telephone number, account, bank account, password, etc. Okay? Yeah? Because we should put him in the official level 1's list of Spain and Portugal. Any question?
It is name, last name, DCI, city, email. Email is very important.
Main is important, yeah.
And physical address and phone. It is fine.
And the nicknames?
Well, nickname is no longer necessary because we are no longer working in Jueces de CI. So before we required the nickname at Jueces de CI, but since we are moving to Magic Apps, it's no longer necessary, the nickname. Okay? You as mentors, when your candidate has passed the exam, you should make the effort to update his information in Magic Apps because he will not appear as a level 1, I think, unless you specifically mark them as a level 1. Am I right? Sito, si no marcas el nivel 1 en Magic Apps, no sale, ¿no?
No es verdad eso.
¿No? ¿O es automático?
About
No está muy claro, ¿no?
In less than a month, I made the exam to a candidate for level 1.
Yeah.
I only made the exam, and he was able to log in APPS.
The problem is that you are able to log in Magic Apps even if you're level 0.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's different. If you're level 0, you may log in at Magic Apps.
He said me that he's allowed to do everything that he's supposed to do.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
It's cool.
Think is something like if you become a level 1, it's automatically updated on apps
From the Judge Center to apps.
from the center to apps.
Okay.
But if you level up from 1 to 2
to 3, it's not
it has to be done manually.
Okay.
And sometimes, depending probably on your name, it doesn't the automatic update from 0 to 1 doesn't work for something.
Okay. What I will do is just check it. It's 2 minutes. Check it, right? If they appear as level 1, great. If they don't appear as level 1, please mark it. Okay. And then we have a new level 1 in the region. That's right. Okay. Well, any questions? Any comments about this? Any opinion? Yeah.
If I have a candidate that I think that is ready to take the exam,
Mm-hmm.
I should exam here, or I make comments with you, or
At this point, if you really think that your candidate is ready to take the exam and pass the exam, you are level 2. We trust in you, so you may or you should give him the exam. If you have questions, if you see something strange, then you may ask to us. But we don't want to know that the candidate is ready to take the level 1 exam, and if you should take or if you should give him the level 1 exam. No, we trust in all level 2 judges. So do it. If you think that's okay, do it.
Well, I have one question. I do not know if you are speaking about that later.
Mm-hmm.
But the requirements to become level 1 are clear.
Mm-hmm.
But what I expect from a level 1, it's not always the same. I mean, if a player wants to become level 1 just to judge FNMs on a store, okay, the requirements will be knowing some kind of rules and having read the comprehensive and having read how to judge lower rank. But if he says that he wants to, for example, in Catalonia, judge the LCL with our tournaments with more than 100 players, I expect him to know the IPGs. I expect him to know the comprehensive a little bit more than what are expected for a player that only wants to play FNX. Therefore, I'd like to ask, can we mentor differently depending on what will the player or what will the token or what will the future level 1 will judge? Can we be different kind of mentors?
Each judge has his own style, as we know yesterday, right? However, the requirements are clear, we think. right? So if the candidate wants to judge competitive events, that's okay. But it is not necessary this to become a level 1 judge. We should treat him equally to become a level 1. Then, afterwards, if he really still wants to judge at competitive events, then we will make the effort, or the level 2 judge in the zone, or level 3s will make the effort to know if he or she knows the IPG, knows the competitive rules at a different level, and so on. If you want to mentor him different, okay, it's your style. But what you should ask to him to get the level 1 should not be different from the list. As I told before, if he wants to study the IPG while taking the level 1 exam, okay, that's up to him. We cannot forbid him to study the IPG, right? But it is not necessary to become level 1. No sé si me explica, si me he explicado bien o no.
Yeah, I think the point is, if the candidate asks you, can you teach me to judge the
Sure.
ligas?
That's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, teach him to judge the ligas.
That's okay, but
for testing him,
it's not necessary.
not the same requirements as for the other one.
That's the main reason, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's kind of not to that, of course. Always when I start to mentor somebody, I ask him, why do you want to become a judge? And then, what kind of tournaments you'd like to judge? And if he wants to judge only FNMs or only FNMs, and maybe in long term judging GPs and furthermore, I will do only the standard level 1 requirements. If he says, I want to become judge, for example, myself, I can't remember never judging a regular tournament.
Yeah, with me at the pre-release.
Yeah, okay. But it was a very tense tournament. You know what? I mean, okay. There's some kind of judge that practically never judge regular rares and wants to become judge for judging GPs, trials, PTQs, and so on. If one player comes to me and says to me, I want to become judge, and I would like to judge only PTQs, I would like to judge only GPTs, and I have followed that situation. I require them to know the IPGs, because I'd like to be able to say, this is a level 1, and this is a level 1 that is able to apply for what tournaments he says. I want to do right or wrong. That's what I'd like to know.
If you ask them to know the IPG before giving him the level 1 exam, you are making a mistake.
Okay.
In spite of the fact that he wants to judge competitive events in the future.
Yeah, okay. It's two things. Yes, if he wants to get here, and he's now here.
Yeah.
This is the level 1. So if he wants to get there, you don't need him to be here before testing him. Just ask him to study the compression rules and then to study the IPGs. I mean, if you want to judge PTQs, that's fine. Tell him what to do. But at some point, in the way, he's going to become a level 1.
Okay.
Before getting to judge
Okay, if you really want, there's the level 1, and then there's the process to become a level 1 that
competitive
can judge those events, and it's also a staffing issue. If you are not going to, if he's not ready, he's not going to be on a team for such an event.
Okay, maybe it's not something to discuss here, but can we make more levels?
More what?
More levels.
More levels.
Yeah. Level 1 plus.
Maybe we should make more levels, but it's not an issue that we should discuss here.
I'm sure that's not something to discuss here, but I think that's something to discuss somewhere.
Okay. We'll take note of this.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Of course.
Let's say a candidate he seems ready from our conversation by email.
Yeah.
And he tells me that he did a lot of practice tests
Mhm.
and had good scores. And he seems ready. He
Mhm.
read the documents,
Mhm.
but still he didn't have the chance to judge at two regular
Mhm.
realm tournaments. And we are going to meet in some time. Can I make the exam with him and then he judges the events afterwards, or he always has to judge the events before?
No,
taking
no.
the
It,
exam?
it's in the user management process. It doesn't say that you should take the exam only after judging the events. It doesn't say it doesn't appear in the process. So normally, first we judge, then we take the exam, right? That's the usual process. But it's okay if you give him the exam because you meet each other at some point, and then he takes the exam. In fact, at the Grand Prix, I did this, or we did the certification process. We did this. We had a candidate with only one FNM judge. We gave him the exam. He passed the exam, and then he went to a side event, to regular side events, to judge his second tournament. And then after the second tournament, he was a level 1. So it's perfectly acceptable to do this.
So the point is that there are 4 tasks that they need to be done.
They need to be done, but not in order.
But
Not
the other doesn't.
yeah. The other is Carlos.
Yeah, a small question about the tournaments. Is it necessary that the candidate zeros or its own within the where result, include him on the report of the tournament that or he just need to be present with you to
You don't have to be present at the tournament, and I don't understand you when you include in the tournament.
If the player would have to be
tiene que aparecer en el programa.
in the reporter as a judge, or if he could just be there and
It should be better if he appears.
But
That will help if he appears in the.
But it's okay if you know that
Yeah.
he judge
It's okay.
in the tournament, even if not in the
It's okay.
in the program.
Yeah, it's okay. If you know that he has judged
Yes.
at the FNN, even as a player, but he has identified himself as a judge, it's okay.
does it need to be a sanction?
Yeah,
Can
sure.
be a kind of a league, not sanction, but
If it has to be regular sanctioned events. Normal. Well, you may. No, it has to be sanctioned. Yeah. Yeah. It should be sanctioned.
even if his name doesn't appear.
Yeah.
As long as we know.
If you know, if you're sure that he's judged because the tournament official told you, the tournament organizer told you, whatever, it's okay.
So just to conclude my question.
Yeah, sure.
If it takes some time to do, let's say, it takes the exam passes, and in the period of 1 month or 2, he just said the 2 events. Only after the second, judging the second event, the certification process is complete.
Mhm.
So he will be considered certified judge only after after judging the second event.
The second event, yeah.
That is the date.
When he will become level 1. Yeah.
That's the date when you will upload.
When you will upload and make the review. Yeah.
if one of my candidates are using FNMs in his store and he has no supervision of any judge, any judge at all, it's okay to ask for feedback to the store owner or
That's a process. So if you think you need information about the process, it's up to you. It's okay. If you think that you need to know how the judge, how the candidate judges at that event, that's okay. You may, or you should ask to the tournament organizer. But it is not mandatory to ask that information if you really think that the candidate is good and you just want to know that he has judged. That he has only judged. Antti?
Yeah, going back to the other question.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that today I give the test to somebody and then in a month they finish judging the 2 events. Would I upload the test results today, for instance, and then do the review in a month and then complete the process?
Upload the
Or should
results
I- or
at the
should
Jet
I-
Center.
Yeah,
Or
actually,
should I wait with the results until I do the review?
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There are two different things. You can upload the results in the Judge Center anytime, and then apart from that, you have the
review. Yeah.
The review thing will be the thing that will grant the new candidate the new level. So that anything else, they will do the exam, the tournament, etc. Don't be afraid to give some assessments to a candidate that you think that it's okay to pass, but he might need, for example, the jar, the regular answers. A lot of candidates that know the rules, but they don't have really heard about that. Don't be afraid of it. Putting them the exam, asking them, okay, do this, read that, and just maybe later give me some things, and then whenever he does that, upload
Mhm.
What do you think? Do you agree with
Sure, sure. I completely agree with you. Completely agree. Do you have something to share with us, Robert? You have something to share with us?
No, sorry.
Okay. No, I just. Okay. No?
No.
Okay. Another important thing is nowadays it's not uncommon to have a candidate that's not from your city. In fact, it's very common. I think that you all have candidates that they are not from your city. They are outside. In fact, you may have candidates from cities very far from where you actually live, right? Imagine that you mentor them. You normally use the email, of course, to contact them. You have online resources. We will make a document giving some tips about which resources do we have, right? Just to sum all up, remember that you have the judge classes via internet. Remember that there is a Facebook group with it's called Level 1 Study Group or something like this, where they put questions and things like that. Remember that there are Level 1 practice exams at the Judge Center. So we have online resources. We have online resources in this case. But imagine that the candidate wants or is ready to take the exam. Right? Imagine that the candidate is ready to take the exam. You live in, I don't know, in Zaragoza, and the candidate is from Sevilla. What would you do, Reke, in this case?
There's two options.
Mm-hmm.
The first of all, which is the better option, is trying to get an early judge, level 2 plus or an experienced level 1 even, to put the test to the candidate personally and perform the interview and making the writing test. If it's not possible, for example, have one or two candidates and when they will be prepared, they probably will be tested online. There is an option with the permission of the RC to put them the online test, and they will fill the exam via web, and they submit the results, and you can.
This is very important, right? If
you have to speak with the RC and it has his specific approval to.
If your candidate is ready to take the exam and you know that he's going to move to a city where a level 2 plus is there, you may speak with him or her, right, and tell him, okay, can you please make an exam to this candidate? That's all. Of course, this is relevant information for our project, for the certification process. So we would also like to know this thing, that candidate is taking the exam not with you, that you are the mentor, but with this another judge. Okay? If it is not a level 2 exam, if it is not a level 2 judge that's giving the exam, but a level 1s cannot create exam. So at this point, we also need authorization from Alfonso. Right? It's possible for a level 1 to give the exam to another level 1, but we need authorization from Alfonso, right? So please email us. You should email only us. We will ask authorization from Alfonso, and then if we have that authorization, you may do it. And if you think that the candidate, it's very difficult to reach the candidate, or the candidate goes to a tournament, or whatever, it is not possible to give the candidate the exam physically. It may be also done via online, as Jorge said, but also we need the authorization of our RC. Okay? Yeah, it's very important information, right? If we know it, we may help you. Any question about this? If we know the information, we may keep the database updated. So all level 2s may know at what point this candidate is. If he's ready to take the exam, if he's very far to take the exam, if he stopped studying because now he has exams at the university, whatever. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to ask, instead of printing a pile of paper, then you could do the test online, being present to make sure that he's not using the internet to help himself with the test.
I don't see any problem in that. If
just
you
do it in a similar way, but instead of printing out, you just do it online, and you are just observing.
If you make the effort to take care that he doesn't cheat, it's okay. It's almost the same. However, for me, it's more difficult to read the screen rather than a paper, sitting, relax. Normally, it's more stressing taking the exam, reading on a screen rather than on paper. But if the candidate feels comfortable with this,
Also, paper is more fail-proof.
Yeah, you don't miss them.
yeah.
Not in this way, but imagine internet goes out or something like
Yeah.
that.
You may take notes. You may.
The printer can
Yeah,
pass
or
or whatever.
something like that.
You always have the option to do it in the
Another question, if you were to do it with a computer, I guess there's a time limit.
Yeah.
So they can't, it's not flexible.
Sure.
Whereas with the paper,
We are more flexible. Yeah. I suggest to give him the paper. Of course, I suggest to give them the paper, but if he really wants to do it all.
I would probably say that you should encourage the player or the guy interested to do it in paper, because after that you can use all the information of the paper during the interview, like the ones that he doubted. He might have written down some comments or things he doubted, and with the things in the paper, you can more or less go back to those questions without telling him the right answer. To know the process of what he thought that was the right answer, and to cross out if it was he got them by chance or he. That's also a thing that
Yes.
if you do it by computer, these are the results.
Okay. Any questions about this? No. So, more or less, this is how we would like to work, right? In order to unify all certification in Iberia, right? Not just in Spain, but in Iberia. Okay. For the future, what we would like to do for the future. First of all, our first objective for the future is unify both certifications, as I told you before, the Spanish and the Portuguese, all the same and working all together, right, the same way. In order that a candidate in Barcelona has the same or almost the same process that a candidate in Galicia, a candidate in Lisbon, or a candidate in Madrid, right? Then our second major objective would be try to locate potential judges, potential candidates for zones that we don't have judge. There are many zones in Spain and in Portugal that there are shops or there are tournaments and we don't have judges there. So we would like to try to locate them, right, and eventually make them judges, right? How can we do that? If a player logs at Magic Apps he or she appears at level 0. If he knows about magic apps, for example, that means that he may be interested in judging. Because if you are not interested in judging, what's the objective of logging magic apps?
You think it's a good idea to promote magic apps among the community?
We'll see. I don't really know this. Maybe yes. But if a candidate enters into magic apps by himself, probably he's interested.
Is it possible?
At least he's curious.
Yeah, but nobody knows about magic apps unless he's a judge.
No. Well,
They can
Well,
reach
now there's
whoopesmile.com,
Yeah.
but
the forum,
in that
the rule blogs.
Yeah.
The point with this magic is that there is a Twitter account which sometimes linked to this magic and
Mhm.
it's kind of known but magic apps. I don't.
There are lots of level 0s in magic apps that they reach magic apps by themselves.
in Spain.
Yeah, it's
Spain.
probably more
In Spain and in
not
Europe.
Spain.
Yeah. There are lots. We've seen that. We've seen that. And why and how did they know this? Maybe magic apps appear in rules documents or in question answer rules documents, wherever.
It's in the rules wiki.
In the rules wiki, for example. So if they enter in the rules wiki, for example, and they enter into magic apps, at least they are curious. So what about contacting them? Yes.
In fact, my last level 1 that I certified, that in fact Max certified him because he won a tournament that he put him the test. He was a sleeping level 0. He was interested in judging, then he disappeared and he reappeared. And when he reappeared, he found by himself the wiki. And he found by himself the Minecrafts. Before I could tell, I told him, well, there is some tools to learn. These ones.
Yeah.
Just a question, like, how many of you would recommend Judge Wiki, for instance, to candidates? Because I found it after certifying as level 1, and I found it very useful.
Yeah, it's very useful.
I would have been happy to learn about it before.
Usually recommend them the judge classes.
Just classes. If
That are on the wiki, and sometimes they
Rules by examples and the rules by example.
no, doesn't.
it's a little bit not updated, for example, I think.
And it's deeper.
Yeah.
Than the
Judge classes, if the candidate begins from 0, if the candidate knows lots of things about the comprehensive rules, it may be you will have to be more specific. But if the candidate begins from 0 with almost knowing nothing about the comprehensive rules, judge classes that are very good because in 10 weeks more or less, I think 10 or 11 lessons, 10, 11, 12 lessons, that's 12 weeks more or less. That's 3 months. He will know everything, almost everything about the comprehensive rules, much more than the requirements for level 1, for passing the level 1 exam.
Also, there is a project open that is the candidate's textbook that is started last month or last 2 months. That the objective is to write a textbook for a candidate who want to be adjusted from 0. Maybe a few months. It's everywhere.
Okay. I think that Sergio will talk about us projects in a few minutes. So that's more or less all I wanted to share with you. More or less. Do you have any questions, any opinions, any?
How we present a new judge to the community?
That's a thing that we should discuss because it was very clear with the old forum. Now that we are moving to Magic Apps, we don't know how this will work, right? Probably we will email you, or we will at the beginning. You should be more aware of new posts at Magic Apps about what happens when we have a new level 1, right? He should make himself known to the community and whatever, right? But I think that we have to discuss this after Magic Apps forum is open. What else? Any more questions? No? What do you think about this? Yeah? If you have anything after, please tell me. Thank you then.